Hello, everyone. So, today we would like to present our critical journal review and also our critical book review with the title Leadership Communication. So, my name is Setiawan Anugrah Zendrato, and with my partner,
Johana Situmorang.
and we are from the English Literature A 2024. So, in this presentation, we will explain to you about our critical journal review about leadership communication, and we'll explain about the articles that we have found related to this title. And so, with the critical book review, also about the leadership communication, and we'll also explain the books that we have found related to the title leadership communication. And now we are start from the first one, which is critical journal review that were explained by my friend Johana. Johana, the time is yours.
Okay, I would like to present our critical journal review entitled Leadership Communication. In this review, we analyze 7 academic journals to understand how leadership communication is studied from different perspectives. Our goal is not only to summarize the articles, but also to critically examine their findings and identify the overall research gap. We start from the first journal with title Assessing the Impact of Leadership Training, written by Campbell. Examines the impact of leadership training programs on leadership effectiveness and organizational performance. The study focused on whether structured training can actually improve leadership competitions. The results show that leadership training significantly improves communication skills, self-confidence, and decision-making ability. This suggests that leadership communication is not purely natural talent. It can be developed through formal training programs. The second journal is Exploring the Role of Emotional Intelligence in Leadership by Niramukamadiana Kasaka. It examines how emotional awareness influences the relationship between leaders and their teams. The study finds that leaders with high emotional intelligence are more effective in building interpersonal relationships and managing team dynamics. This highlights that emotional competence plays a crucial role in leadership communication. The next journal is Mindfulness Leadership and Global Policy Implementation by Adam Rajuroy. This journal explores the concept of mindfulness in leadership, especially in ethical decision-making and global contexts. This study shows that mindful leaders tend to be more reflective, adaptable, and balanced in making decisions. This means that internal awareness and presence influence how leaders communicate and respond to complex situations. The next journal is NLP as a tool for enhancing self-awareness and self-management in leadership development by Mr. Jafar Pirum Muhammad. This article investigates how NLP can enhance self-awareness and emotional regulation in leadership development. The study explained that NLP techniques such as reframing and perceptual positioning help leaders manage emotional responses and improve communication behavior. This contributes to more flexible and controlled leadership performance. The next journal is The Influence of Leadership and Communication on Employee Performance, written by Rusli Gunawan and Ratna Indrawati. This research analyzed the relationship between leadership communication and employee performance. The results show that effective leadership communication significantly increases employee motivation and productivity. This indicates that communication is not just supportive, but directly affects organizational outcomes. The next journal is Student Leadership and its Impact on Behavior Change Among Students in Secondary Schools, written by Ahumuza Audrey and Asimwe Isaac Kazara. The study examines how leadership influences behavioral change among secondary school students. The research finds that leadership style and communication strategies play an important role in shaping attitudes and behavioral development. Although the context is educational, it shows that leadership communication has transformational effects. The last journal is The Role of Continuous Learning in Educational Leadership, written by Nabilie Amina Okwir. The final journal focuses on continuous learning in educational leadership. The study concludes that leaders who engage in ongoing professional development demonstrate stronger adaptability and communication skills. Continuous learning support long-term leadership effectiveness. After reviewing all the 7 journals, we identified several key findings. First, leadership training improves communication competence and confidence. Second, emotional intelligence strengthens the interpersonal relationship. Third, mindfulness enhances reflective and ethical decision making. The fourth is NLP supports self-awareness and emotional control. The next is effective leadership communication directly improves employee performance. And the last, continuous learning increase adaptability and long-term effectiveness. Overall, leadership communication is multidimensional. It involves emotional, cognitive, behavioral, and development aspects. However, we also find a significant gap. Most of the study examine leadership components separately. There is limited integration between leadership training, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, self-management approach, continuous learning perspective. In other words, the study are still fragmented. There is no comprehensive framework that combines this dimension into one unified model of leadership communication. In conclusion, leadership communication is not only about delivering a message clearly. It involves emotional awareness, self-regulation, adaptability, structured development, and continuous growth. These 7 journals provide strong foundation, but there is still room to develop a more intricate understanding of leadership communication. Okay, that's all from Critical Journal Review. For the next part will be presented by my friend Setiawan.
Okay, Johana, thank you for your explanation for the critical journal review under the theme leadership communication. And now I will continue the presentation, which is the critical book review for leadership communication. Okay, now we are jump to the introduction. So leadership communication is very important in every organization. A good leader does not only give instruction, but also a good leader must inspire people, motivate others, communicate their vision clearly, and build the trust of the people that they are lead. But in today's era, in lately world, leadership is not only about authority. It is also about how leaders can communicate their values and direct effectively. In our review, we are comparing 5 books from different perspectives to see their strengths, their weakness, and the gaps in the leadership communication studies. So now we are continuing to the first book, with the title Neuro-Linguistic Programming and Leadership by El Majouzub, Dagger, and Hejase. So in this book, it explains the relationship between NLP and leadership effectiveness. The author focused on cognitive process, language use, behavior patterns. They explain the communication, including the tone of voice, body language, word choice, and these elements really help to read the leaders to build rapport and influence others to follow them, to understand their vision, to understand their direction. And the strength that we are found in this book is connects leadership theory with the practical and LP application and uses survey data for all the material in this book. And we also found a weakness, which is the discussion is limited to one cultural context. Also, the communication is treated only as a supporting skills, not the main focus of the leadership. Now we're continuing to the book two, or the second book, with the title An Exploration of Theories of Action in Leadership Development by Scott G. Allen. So this book it discusses the gap between leadership theory and real practice in the real world. So Scott G. Allen introduced the concept of theory of action. Theory of action means leaders' hidden assumptions influence their decisions and their behavior. Although communication is not the main topic, it plays an important role in turning values into action. So the strength that we found from this book is really strong in the theoretical foundation and the critical academic analysis. But it also have some weakness, which is the language is very academic and difficult to understand by someone who are not from the academic field. And sometimes it also lacks of practical communication strategies. Now we're continuing to the third book with the title Leading with an LP by Joseph O'Connor. So this book presents leadership as a journey guided by vision, values, and also effective communication. O'Connor explains the communication is the core of leadership. So he emphasized that communication is the key of leadership. He emphasized building trust, managing change, and aligning the goals of the leader. So the strength of this book is easy to understand the language that are used in this book and also have a lot of practical examples in it that can follow by the reader. And the weakness that we found in here that is it lacks strong empirical research and also academic evidence. Now we are continuing to the fourth book with the title Leadership Communication. Leadership with an LP by the Gendro Salim. So this book is focuses on the character building and self-development in business leadership. This book is emphasizing the vision, integrity, flexibility, communication, and the strength of this book is that this book is very practical and culturally relevant example. We also found some weakness in here that this book is too motivational and lacks academic reference. I'm so sorry for the backgrounds from the background sounds. There are yeah, there's some sounds from my backgrounds. I'm so sorry for it. Okay, let's continue to the fifth book with the title Neurobehavioral Genetics Methods and Applications that written by Jones and Mormay. So this book is discussed. Okay, well, let's continue. So the book is discussed genetics and behavior. It explains how genetics and environment factors influence human behavior. Although it does not really directly discuss leadership, it helps us understand why people behave differently, and also why leaders have different communication styles. So the strength that we found from this book is strong by the scientific and research-based foundation, but the weakness also this book is very technical and not directly related to leadership communication. So it's slightly difficult for us to connect the this book to leadership communication, but they also have some practical that we can also connect it with leadership communication. So now we are going through the critical analysis. After we are reviewing these 5 books, we found some important key points. The first one is NLP-based books focus on the practical communication technique but lack strong research evidence. The second, leadership communication theory provides deep academic insight but lacks of communication strategies. And the third is neurobehavioral genetics offers some scientific rigor but lacks practical leadership communication. And we found a big gap in integration with 5 books. So there's a limited connection between NLP principles, leadership development theory, communication studies, and biological perspectives. These perspectives are discussed separately in each book. So, as the conclusion, each book gives valuable insight about leadership and behavior, highlighting the need for an integrative framework that connects the theory, the practice, and the scientific research. So, the further research should combine the NLP, the leadership theory, and the communication research. This integration will help strengthen leadership communication studies in organizational context. And also, um, from our explanation by the critical journal review of the leadership communication, and also by the critical book review from our from the explanation that I just explained before, we also got some we also got we also got um the title that we want to give as our wait a minute, I will looking for the title first. We already find or we already decide the title for our case method for our further research. Okay, so because we are talking about leadership communication and we also want to integrate it all of this theory in our case method. So the title that we want to talking about or the title that we want to do the research more deeply is the impact of integrated leadership communication on student engagement and organizational effectiveness, a case study in student leadership. So why we are choosing this title, because we are see that we are still in students field. I mean, like we are still a student. So as a student, some of the student in university, they also, or there must be some student that are join organization. So we think that this title is really important or needs some research to it, because we want to see how the leadership communication is used in the organizational or in the organizational environment. So we are assigning this title for our further research. So that's all for our presentation today from the CGR and from the CBR. Thank you for listening, and yeah, see you in the next time.